Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Caught on the Mic. I am Michael Clark. It is Dynasty Combat Sports Week with Caught on the Mic. This is episode number 2 of the week in preparation for Spring Brawl 2025 taking place this Saturday night, May 3rd at the Pinnacle Bank Arena in Lincoln, Nebraska. And the Pinnacle Bank Arena is the appropriate venue for my next debut, MMA debut, that is. He is a former collegiate wrestler with University of Nebraska, Lincoln, originally from Manhattan, Kansas. Bubba Wilson joins me on the show today ahead of his MMA debut and ahead of him making the big move to Florida. Check this out right now. Bubba Wilson joins me on Caught on the Mic today. As always, listener and viewer discretion is advised. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of Caught on the Mic. It is Dynasty Combat Sports Week on the podcast ahead of Spring Brawl 2025 that takes place May 3rd, 2025 at the Pinnacle Bank Arena in Lincoln, Nebraska. My next guest is no stranger. If you are a Husker fan whatsoever, he wrestled for the University of Nebraska. And man, I'm so glad to have him on. Bubba Wilson, how the hell are you, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the pod. I'm excited to talk MMA and, talk some crap and get into the fight.
Yes. So this is going to be your debut MMA fight, right?
Yeah. Hopefully the first of many. Hopefully the beginning of the highlight tape that I put on inside the cage.
So how, obviously being a wrestler, there's a natural acclimation for ground game, but have you always been a fan of mixed martial arts?
So actually, in high school, I was my house burned down and I was homeless for a little while.
Oh, wow.
And so I lived in this hotel and I had nowhere else to go really, but, and we had a gym where we had some wrestling mats in a gym, a basement, some terrible, shitty place. And, they had some fighters in there. And so I would go in there and help them out a little bit with their wrestling whenever I started getting good, like my junior year of high school. So I was about 17, 18. And they kind of introduced me into the sport. Like we would roll around, do some jitsu and and that kind of got me into it. And then we did a little bit of striking. And so that's kind of where it started for me.
That's awesome. So you're training at a Premier Combat Center in Omaha, but you guys are doing a little training here in Lincoln as well. So I've heard. So what's that experience been like, especially after having a collegiate wrestling career?
It's great. Going through college athletics, I kind of know how to structure my own stuff and what works best for me. Having some of the best coaches in the entire world with, Terrell, Snyder, Manning, all those guys, and having great strength coaches like John Pfeiffer. I kind of know how to structure all my own stuff and, kind of bounce around and work out hard whenever I need to and take rest days whenever I need to. So it's been great. It gave me a great plan and great structure and just, I can kind of do it all on not all on my own because I got a lot of guys helping me out, but it kind of gave me a good structured plan.
They say that wrestling, MMA, any type of martial art or any type of combat sport is a singular sport until you get into the thick of it. And it really is a team sport, really, if you get into the brass tacks of it. So to have aligned yourself with somebody like Premier Combat Center, that's got to be pretty exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a bunch of, good fighters that came out of Premier and a bunch of good guys that still train there. Like you said, it is a team aspect. I go in there, I spar with a bunch of different guys. They give me tips and, I try to help them out with their wrestling. And we really try to feed off each other, build each other up and make sure that we're all ready to whip some ass on May 3rd.
I love that, man. So, is there anything that you notice that's a little bit different with the sense of camaraderie, as opposed to being a part of a wrestling team and being part of an MMA team?
Yeah, I guess I would say the difference is, we're not gonna be all like sitting there cage side for each other's fights. Everyone's gonna be kind of, getting ready to do their own thing. So that's a little bit different than like a duel,
Right.
So it might be kind of more like tournament style. At tournaments we're all focused on ourselves. We kind of watch here and there and cheer each other on as they come back. Come back off the mat and stuff. But yeah, I think it is a little bit different. It's less team based. Probably on competition day, but leading up to the fight and fight week and stuff, we all kind of know what each other needs. So we're not going to be trying to knock each other out the day before, the fight and stuff. But yeah, I think it's a great atmosphere and I like having great teammates over at Premier and it's been fun.
Oh, that's awesome, man. So, you're originally from Manhattan, Kansas, right?
Yes, sir.
So let's kind of get into your origin story a little bit. So how did you get into wrestling at the high school level and, build this interest leading up to where we're going to be on May 3rd?
Yeah, so I started wrestling whenever I was 4 years old. I brought home a flyer from kindergarten. That's kind of how I got started. I was a savage. I was kind of a savage growing up. Traveled all across the country, um, beating up a bunch of different little kids from all over the Midwest and stuff. And then going into high school, um, Manhattan, was a good program to go to. So I was like, yeah, I got to be at Manhattan. Um, and got my butt kicked a little bit my first year. And
Yeah.
then I actually almost quit wrestling. I was like, man, I don't know if this is for me. I was kind of a late bloomer. I wasn't as strong, but I knew, technically I was way better and a lot smarter than everyone else. The strength portion had to catch up to me, and
Yeah.
got second at state my sophomore year, and then got first my junior year and my senior year. Um, and yeah, so on Christmas my house burnt down, um, and so I was homeless for a while. I was staying in a hotel, and so I spent a lot of time on the wrestling mats at a gym.
Uh-huh.
And there's a guy over there in the gym. His name was Justin Overton. He fought in Bellator a little bit, and he kind of would help me out with my striking. I would help him out with his wrestling a little bit, and we would come in before school and scrap it out a little bit, lift weights, and get in the cage. And on Saturdays, we would do some rounds and stuff. And he was like, "Man, you got a lot of potential. You should think about fighting, doing this and doing that." And I was just like, "Yeah, it's just kind of a fun exercise hobby to do or whatever in my free time." But and then I came up here, and the idea kind of just struck me. It was during the off season. I think it might have been, right after nationals. Wasn't training much, and I was kind of feeling froggy. So I was like, I'm gonna go hit the local jujitsu club with a couple of my friends and see what's going on there. And Tanner Wanch ended up coming up to me at Lincoln Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and outgoing guy, really fun to
Yeah.
hang out with. And he kind of just introduced me to everything. We became good friends, and ever since like maybe my sophomore year of college, we started training together, just hitting pads, rolling around, doing this and doing that, and yeah, just kind of beating each other up for fun.
That's awesome. You know, I'm hearing kind of a repetitive theme of mentorship. So, what does mentorship mean to you as a collegiate athlete and then as somebody that's setting foot into the sphere of MMA?
Yeah, so mentorship is a huge deal to me. I try to, surround myself around great people. I try to find people that I want to be like, and people that have skills that I want to develop, and I try to spend as much time as I can around them. And usually they're nice enough to take a kid like me under their wing that might have a little bit of potential, and yeah, kind of teach me some stuff. So like the mentors are kind of mentoring me
Yeah.
right now. Wanch is mentoring me. He's been mentoring me for a while. So yeah, it's been fun, and shout out to those guys because I definitely wouldn't know where to go without them.
Yeah, them Minter boys are pretty good guys, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah, they are. Man, I tell you what, they're every time. So I sit and I do commentary. So I will be calling your fight. I'll be sitting
Awesome.
cage side. But every time I show up at a Dynasty event, the first person I text is Brady Minner. And, got to give the bro hug and catch up, and good guys all the way around for sure. For
Oh
sure.
yeah.
So what are some of your interests outside of athletics?
I like to do anything that scares me. I like to skydive. I like to lift weights, get jacked. I like to tan. I like to be tan and jacked. That's my goal.
I love it.
I like to shoot guns. I like to drink a lot of tequila on the weekends. I like to play with my dog. Yeah, I like to try to, do manly shit and just do fun stuff.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I was just in Mexico 3 weeks ago, so I got the good tequila while I was
That's
there.
awesome.
Yeah, dude. Like, they bring you that shit beachside, and you can order your drinks beachside. And man, it was fantastic. I have been having a bitch of a time trying to get back into my regular everyday routines. It's been 3 weeks, man. and see, I'm normally, like, I got all my partying out when I was younger. I'm normally not a drinker. And of
Mhm.
course, as you get older, you have to be mindful of those things, because 2 or 3 shots don't, they phase you a lot more than they did when I was your age, but
Right, that's awesome. Heck yeah,
dude,
the good tequila is in Mexico.
hell yeah. You been?
I've been to Mexico once, but
Yeah.
luckily I can kind of import that stuff. My dad owns a liquor store, so
Oh, nice. What's your
yeah.
favorite tequila?
Lately I've been on a big Terramana kick. I
Yeah, the
like
Rock.
Terramana. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, it's pretty cool, because I like having these types of conversations with fighters and breaking the fourth wall down a little bit, and kind of, figuring out, what goes on inside your mind outside of what happens on the mats or in the octagon. Historically, MMA has a lot of stereotypes associated with it, and they're not always true. And I always find that fighters are some of the most well balanced, well rounded, and intelligent people that I get the pleasure of having a conversation with. Speaking of intelligence, you're going to be taking on an engineering job in Florida before too long. Yes?
Yeah, I'll be taking on a field engineering job in Florida, for a huge general contracting company. Super excited about that. I got a college degree, and I'm balanced in between hurting people and using my college degree. So I don't know what I want to do yet. We'll
So,
figure it out.
how did you find that pathway to engineering?
Um, some of the richest people I knew growing up owned, their own construction companies
Yes.
and were engineers, and so I was like, I know I'm going to go to college to wrestle and try to beat people up on the mat, so I might as well pick something worth my while. And I don't want to be stuck behind a desk job, so let's go do some construction. Let's go hang out with some off the wall people and have a good time. And I like to be up and moving around, and I don't like to be sitting down at a desk.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. I get that. I get that. You can beat people up on the mats, and then beat people up in the bank account as well.
Yeah, that's the plan.
That's awesome. So, how did you land in Florida? Did you just do like a job search, or you like, I just want to move where the weather's nice?
Well, no state taxes.
Yeah.
Um, I was kind of either thinking Texas, Florida, Tennessee, something like that. I was like, I want to go somewhere where, the state's not taking all of my money because, I'm a little greedy. I like the money to be in my pockets and let me disperse with it as I want to. Um, and so yeah, in Florida, I'm a big sun guy. I like the sun. The sun makes me feel good. I want to get out of the Midwest. I've been staying in the Midwest my whole life, and I like the
Yes.
vitamin D. I like being outside all the time. I like, running outside with my dog, and, the beaches and bikinis sounds pretty good down there.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. I'm the same exact way. I have this old adage that I tell people. I'm like, dude, you can pick one to bitch about. You either bitch about the cold or you bitch about the heat, but I ain't ever gonna bitch about the heat.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of Midwest winters, it kills me. And this year sucked, dude. It feels like every time it's about to get nice, we get blasted with one more spell, right?
Yeah, we got hit by that crazy blizzard the other day. It was shaking my whole house. I'm like, oh my God, I got 2 more months. I got 2 more months in this.
Dude, I know. And then it had that like Texas mud buried in it, and everybody's cars were all nasty, and it's like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, crazy. I'm like, man, I'm a smart guy. I made the right decision going to Florida soon because I cannot do this no more. And I got a little pit bull. I don't think he's really much of a snow dog. He's no husky. He's definitely a vitamin D type guy.
I absolutely love that. So, Florida, it's kind of like Colorado in the aspect that it is an MMA hotspot as well. So, have you started scouting some gyms or some teams to possibly train with out there when you move out there?
Yeah, I talked to some guys at Kill Clip and one of my old teammates, Tyler Berger. He's his manager and those guys. They work out of American Top Team down there. So I'm trying to come up with a decision. I'm kind of want to move down there, get settled, and then pick which one's going to be best for me and move forward with that down there.
So, without giving any kind of strategy away, you make the walk to the octagon. What can fans expect on the night of May 3rd, 2025 at Spring Brawl, Pinnacle Bank Arena from Bubba Wilson?
Not from me, but you can expect this other guy to bleed a lot. You can expect me to drag his face across the canvas. A lot of elbows, a lot of devastating stuff, and then you can expect a good party afterwards because we're going to party hard on these guys.
Yes. Yes. I love it, dude. I am looking so forward to calling your fight. And I hope I get to hang out and maybe even grab a shot of tequila with you at the fight.
Let's do it.
We should just grab a bottle of I'll keep a bottle of Terramana in my backpack. No, security won't let me in with that. We'll figure something out.
Yeah, we'll take a shot in the back afterwards or something.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Or maybe before the fight. Who cares?
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's good. I went one of the Dynasty events not too long ago. One of the fighters chugged a bunch of Gatorade in the back and projectile vomited, and that's how the fight ended.
Oh wow, that's a rookie mistake.
I've never seen anything like it. It was amazing. It was like this blue projectile vomit. I'm like, I've never seen anything like this. This might be the best fight I've ever seen. So have you gone to a Dynasty event as a fan?
I haven't. No, I didn't really know about it.
Really?
To be truthful. Yeah.
So this is going to be like your first big event whole way around.
Yeah, big fighting event. Yeah. I wrestled in Pinnacle Bank Arena my freshman year for Big Tens, and it was pretty sold out. So that was and wrestling in a few national championships.
That's awesome. So what's some random fun fact about Bubba that people don't know that would surprise them?
I am working on getting my skydiving license, so that I can take people and go by myself, and eventually try to work on getting my own plane so I can go skydive whenever I want to.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Man, I have really enjoyed this conversation. My wrap-up question is one that I love asking everybody because everybody gives a unique answer. Given your experience in the world, whether it be in wrestling, in MMA, just as an all-around bro, what's your advice for making the world a better place tomorrow than what it is today?
I think everyone likes to have a good time, right? I think, whether we're going out there and fighting, or I think there's not a lot of room in this world for, just negative behaviors. Like, I'm here to have a good time, and I'm sure I got a lot in common with my opponent, and I'm sure if I see him on O Street partying afterwards, we'll share a beer or whatever, or a tequila shot. Like, we're all here for a good time. Let's all make it worthwhile because we're not here for long.
Yes. That is I think that's a line even. It's like, we're not here for a long time, but we're definitely here for a good time.
Exactly.
Man, I tell you what, I have really enjoyed getting to know you. And like I said, I can't wait to call your fight on May 3rd. And we will do that shot. We will high five. I'm so excited. Bubba Wilson, thank you for doing the podcast, my friend. The world is a much better place with you in it.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. Yeah, this was fun, and I'm glad to meet you. And I hope you enjoy the show that on May 3rd. And yeah, we'll enjoy a tequila shot together. I'm looking forward to it.
Woohoo!